Tunisia is holding a presidential election on Sunday with no real opposition to incumbent Kais Saied. After rising to power in a landslide in 2019, Saied led a sweeping power grab that saw him rewrite the constitution and jail his main rivals. Nearly 10 million people are expected to vote in what is seen by some as the closing chapter in Tunisia's experiment with democracy. The North African country had prided itself for more than a decade on being the birthplace of the Arab Spring uprisings. For more on this, I'm now joined in the studio by Tunisian journalist and DW reporter Rod Adala. Rod, you just heard me use the phrase, the closing chapter in Tunisia's experiment with democracy. If you're Tunisian who supports democracy, those words cut to the core, even more so, of course, if it's true.
Yes, exactly. So hopefully this is not will be the case. As we heard you just saying, Tunisia was the birthplace of the Arab Spring, and Tunisia surprised the world by trying to transition into democracy. And today may be a very, very important day in the history of modern Tunisia, where the President Kais Saied is basically in an open race to become the next president, and he's the incumbent president because, as you said, there was no real challenger. So the two other candidates, one is close to Kais Saied, the other one is in jail. There is really no independent monitoring, election monitoring. So the condition around this election kind of show that Tunisia is really in a dangerous path toward what may not be democracy, but I'm still hopeful that Tunisians still have and can resist and will continue to vote and will continue to push democracy forward.
What you're describing in some sense, you're talking about jailed opposition figures, the fact that there's not a political structure in order to really achieve real democracy there right now. It's political turmoil.
Exactly.
So why is this incumbent popular in any sense?
So, as you said, in 2019, Kais Saied won in a landslide where he was the anti-establishment candidate, because after the revolution, the Tunisian felt that they were betrayed by the political class, that didn't really achieve the promises that they gave, whether Tunisian had high promises and they worked hard, they fought hard, they paid with their own blood for their freedom, but they really didn't see that translate into reality. And that's where Kais Saied tried to kind of fill that void by being the anti-establishment, by being the alternative that appealed to the working class and that helped the working class feel heard. And that's where his playing card is, which is, I'm the guy who, here the working class, I'm the guy who's not like the other politicians, I'm a law professor, and I will make sure that the rule of law is everything in this country.
We only have about half a minute or so, but I do want to ask you this. Again, it bears repeating. This was once the leading act in the Arab Spring. And one has to wonder how Tunisia actually got to this political reality and what is likely to be the case if Saied is voted back into power.
I think it's too early to say this, but we've seen other countries really not succeeding, and Tunisia was the only successful country. But as we said, the poster child of the Arab Spring is not yet dead. The Tunisian democratic experience is not dead yet. And that's why we see people voting today. And because if the Tunisian experience is dead, this may send a dangerous message around the region that democracy is not the way to do things. And that can basically be the end of any hope for a better future and a democratic future in other countries also.
On the day that Tunisia is voting for president, DW reporter Rod Adala, many, many thanks.
Thank you.